Hi everyone and welcome to today's video. Today I'm doing a pen review of a pen that, well, I am slightly surprised by. It's not a new pen, but it's a new model or a new finish of the pen. That pen is the Lamy Studio. We'll look at it in a lot more detail and I'll give all the specs and that sort of stuff when we change camera angle, but this is the Terracotta model from this year, 2018. This pen seems to divide people, mainly because of this grip section. It's metallic, it's shiny, it's a fingerprint magnet. It gets a little bit slippery for some people, but I have to say off the bat, this is a pen I actually really quite like. I like the design, I love this finish, and I actually do quite like the way it writes. I got it with a medium nib, but as you know with these pens, the nibs are interchangeable with the entire Lamy Vista Safari All-Star sort of nib system. So that's great, and I think this is a really nice pen. Now, when I say off the bat, this is not a problem with the company. It was a problem with some information that sort of got sent around. I got this from Colt Pens in the United Kingdom. I pre-ordered it and it was sent incredibly promptly, and it got here so quickly to Australia. Colt Pens are amazing. I buy from them regularly and I love what they do. And everyone was a little bit sort of misled by the idea that a converter would be supplied with this pen. So they've rectified that and it's being sent out, and that's awesome. They are a great company, so thank you so much to Colt Pens, and you do a great job. So what I've done is I've had the Lamy blue cartridge in here. This is a cartridge converter pen using the Lamy, I think it's the Z27 converter from memory. I'll have that in more detail when we change angle, but I've just put the blue cartridge that came with it, and it's actually pretty great. I really like this pen. So let's change camera angle and I'll go into more detail, but yeah, let's look at the Lamy Studio. Okay, here we have the Lamy Studio. It comes in this very basic cardboard sleeve, and then the more interior box also comes with a little instruction information and catalogue of the models that Lamy have on offer. This box is sort of what we're more used to seeing, the nice sort of detailed Lamy logo there on the top, which also acts as the clasp, and then the pen is in there. It also came, of course, with a cartridge, which is in the pen. As I said, it was sort of thought that the pen would be supplied with a converter, and that is on the way from the retailer, but this is the pen as it arrived. Obviously I've been using it. I just put it back in the sleeve so you see how it's presented. A little slip of plastic and then a little label, barcode label, and we can move the packaging out of the way. And this is the pen. So the pen is made of lacquered metal, and it's actually very pretty. The terracotta finish is looks textured and looks like it's sort of got a shimmer to it, but it is nice and smooth and it's sort of almost anodized sort of feeling about it. Let's have a quick look at the pen. We'll start with the cap. It's a snap cap, and snaps relatively securely. It has this very well-known propeller clip which seems to sort of torque on itself there, which I think is actually really rather interesting and an interesting design element. It is quite sturdy, so you'll easily be able to use that and securely be able to use that. The finial is just plain chrome, as is the end of the pen. So one thing that is interesting about this pen is the grip. It is a metal grip without sort of too much sort of shape to it. It's got a good width around the 9mm mark. It's nice and comfortable in the hand. But one of the big complaints is obviously that it attracts fingerprints, but also that it becomes quite slippery. I don't find that. I don't get particularly slippery hands when I write, but I can see how that would be an issue to some, definitely. The branding on this pen is simple, just Lamy written there, which is quite nice. It's actually nicely printed in the nicely printed in the anodization, and yeah, it's just a really nice, simple, elegant, quite attractive pen. The filling system is cartridge converter, as I said, and a few sort of plastic screws there. There's plastic lining in the barrel of the pen, so it's plastic on plastic, and I have the cartridge in there, the blue cartridge, as it can use the Z27 converter. The size of the pen. Okay, this pen is 140 millimeters when it's capped, 126 when it's uncapped, and 153 when it's posted. And it does post quite securely, although loosely, which is designed to protect the material of the pen, but it is still a tolerance that I think a lot of people have an issue with this pen. The pen weighs 31 grams in total, which 26 are in the pen and 19 is in the cap, 9 in the cap, sorry. It's a nice weight to hold unposted, but even posting it doesn't backweight it too much, although you can feel the weight shift in your hand. But the pen is big enough to use, I would imagine, for most people without having to post the pen. The only issue being the distance between the end of the section and the nib is not that great. The ink capacity of this pen is a standard Lamy capacity, so the converter takes 1.08 mils and the cartridge is 1.56 mils. So in terms of a cartridge converter pen, it's pretty sort of stock standard. Size comparisons, let's look at it in comparison to a few other pens. First thing I want to do is show it alongside some other Lamy pens. Now, Lamy have a tendency to make a lot of their pens in the 140mm range, so you'll notice that the Safari, the Ion, and of course the 2000 are all within this very similar length, the Ion being just a little bit bigger, but it's not too different a size pen, as you can see there, to the Lamy 2000 in both width and length. Just another pen from another brand to check it out alongside is the Lamy Aero here, which once again is a similar sort of size, and another nice sort of orangey coloured pen. So I have the Lamy blue cartridge in here, and I'm not going to write with it posted, but let's see how it writes. This is a medium nib. As I said, the nibs are interchangeable with the same nibs that come on the All-Star, Safari, the Vista, those sorts of pens. It's that standard Lamy nib. You can get gold nibs for it, of course, and the nibs range from extra fine through to, if you're willing to go into the calligraphy nibs, 1.9mm stub. The ink here is Lamy blue in cartridge. Now, I'm not a massive fan of Lamy blue, but this pen does write very nicely with this ink. It lays down a nice line of it, more than wet enough. The other ink I had in here, I used the converter that I have in my Ion to test it out with some other ink before I put the cartridge in here. And I had Iroshizuku Kujaku in there, which is a slightly wetter ink than this, and the pen performed really, really beautifully. But even with this sort of standard Lamy blue, it's still very, very nice. So what I think we can talk about now is a few sort of nib characteristics with Lamy pens. Yes, they're not the wettest pens. They tend to swing between sort of the medium to dry end of things, and they're not flexible nibs. You can squeeze a tiny amount of sort of variation out of that, but it's really uncomfortable sort of on the pen. They reverse write okay in a very, very fine line, but it's not something you necessarily are going to want to do sort of too often with a pen like this. Okay, so yeah, they write smooth enough. They're reliable. They don't skip, too much. They don't hard start too much. They're fairly stock standard. They handle fast writing. Feed keeps up can see there's no skipping there. If we do a couple of other, it keeps up very, very nicely. Now, one thing I will say is that there is feedback on this nib, and you do get that from some Lamy nibs. It's certainly not scratchy, but there is some feedback, and I don't mind that so much. You know, it lets you know you're writing, and on paper like this, Rhodia, that's actually sometimes not a bad thing. So one other thing I'll quickly do is the right-handed writing, just so you get so we get the experience of that. This is the Lamy. Oh, that's terrible. I've done so much better than that in other videos, but you do get a very pleasant writing experience with the pen as a right-handed writer as well. So let's talk money. This pen costs around $80. It's not a cheap pen, that's $80 American, but it is a nice pen. It is a good pen, and if this grip section isn't a problem for you, then it is definitely worth the money. There's plenty to love about this model of the Lamy Studio fountain pen. These finishes that it's available in are very, very classy. The racing green is beautiful. The olive green that has come out with this one looks beautiful as well. It's decent value. There are pens, some of the TWSBI pens, some of the other Faber-Castell pens like the Loom, which you get for less than this, are probably as good a writing experience, if not better, but this pen does have some unique features that makes it quite interesting. Well, that was the Lamy Studio fountain pen, a really lovely fountain pen, and one that I quite enjoy. It's not without its faults. There are some issues, and I think things that will you know, bug some users, and we know bug some users, like that grip section, but it's a really nice pen, and this finish is beautiful. The olive green finish also looks lovely. There are a number of different editions of this, the racing green, the black, you know, piano black, and they come with everything from these steel nibs to the gold nibs. So there's a pen if you're interested in this pen, there's something sort of at not every price point. It's not the cheapest pen around, of course, but you know, from this price up, there's something for you, a finish or a nib option that to suit every desire, just about. So yeah, Lamy Studio, really interesting pen. I'm so glad I got it, and I'm glad I got this particular finish. Hope you found this video useful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notifications button if you want to stay up to date with the videos that I produce. Please feel free to get in touch using any of the platforms listed below. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at @the_offstage_me, which is linked down below. I'd love to see you over there, see what you're up to. So yeah, get in touch, drop me an email, let me know if there's anything you'd like to look at. And if there's anything you want to support this channel with, please get in touch and let's see what we can do. In the meantime, enjoy your pens, enjoy writing, and I'll talk to you later.